Okay, today we are playing a game on Hollywood. We are playing Soldier 76 the entire way through, and the average SR of this game was in the 2300 range. So, let's look at our team. We've got Soldier 76, obviously. We've got Reinhardt, Mercy, Pharah, so we've got Pharmacy. That's pretty sick. We've got Zenyatta, and we've got D.Va. The only thing I'm personally upset about is that D.Va isn't playing Roadhog or Zarya. Other than that, we've got a perfectly average team, honestly. Personal preference, I'd rather have a Lucio than a Zenyatta, but, it doesn't matter overly so, really. So, let's start the game. So, right out of the gate, we're gonna go like a very odd way around. We're gonna go all the way up through the hotel on the right-hand side. This is pretty unnecessary. And we get the drop on this turret, I suppose, so that's cool. And then we, use our biotic field over here. First off, I'm not really sure why we come all the way over here, because standing over in the hotel doesn't really get you anything, unless, sometimes if you're playing, Widowmaker, you can snipe somebody from the balcony. But, coming through the hotel doesn't really do anything. You could just come up through this street with your team, get here faster, and, you just break the turret from over there. And then the other thing is, Biotic Field is a 15-second cooldown. That's a very, very long time. That might be the longest cooldown in the entire game, now that I think about it. It's certainly in contention if it isn't the highest. You don't want to use it unless you have to, basically. You don't want to use it frivolously, because it's a long cooldown. It's quite punishing if you need to use it during that period. You could just go get a health kit, or you could just come out here and let your supports heal you up instead and give them some ult charge off of it. Instead, we use a 15-second cooldown to recover, 80 HP when we're not actually being threatened by anything, so that's an unnecessary use of our cooldown, which, wasn't necessary. It was unnecessary. So, now we're coming over here. Torbjorn's up there. We're shooting at him. We actually managed to kill the Torbjorn with the Helix rocket, which is fantastic news, because that means he can't fix his turret anymore. Small nitpicky thing, try not to stand perfectly still while you're shooting at something. And, I don't think you're gonna get punished for it here. It's not like I'm suggesting a Widowmaker is gonna suddenly emerge from the door frame and shoot you in the head because you're standing perfectly still. But you don't want to stand perfectly still when you're shooting, because you can get punished for that. And we're trying to cut down on as many opportunities to get punished as possible. So just try not to stand perfectly still when you're shooting at something. Even if you don't think you're gonna get punished, still just bob back and forth a little bit. Just in case, right? But we're gonna break this turret, that's great. Symmetra's just broken D.Va's mech, which is unfortunate, but we're about to kill Symmetra, which is great, because that means she has not had time to put down a teleporter yet, which is fantastic. So, we decide that we're gonna go up onto the high ground. I mean, you do want to be up on the high ground, but this is probably unnecessary to do right now. You'd probably be better off just hanging out where you were and shooting at people on the point, because we're already winning the fight. And coming up here takes you out of the fight for a really long time. And it's probably unnecessary, because you're not going to gain that much from being up on the high ground right now, especially since, they're missing 2 of their DPS right now. Because we killed Symmetra and we killed Torbjorn. So it'd probably be better if we were just still fighting on the point and trying to get control of it before coming up here. But we're up here now. It's whatever. It doesn't matter overly so. We've managed to kill that Mercy. Now we're breaking D.Va's mech. There's a fight happening over there that we can't quite see, and we've fallen off of the high ground. We're gonna come over here, but, nothing's actually happening over here. I think we're checking for the teleporter at that point. She didn't have time to put down a teleporter. Someone did call out that the teleporter is on the right-hand side, which I assume means in this doorway somewhere. So, when someone calls out where the teleporter is, if you can get to the teleporter, you should try and get to the teleporter, because it being alive is pretty unfortunate. But, at the same time, we do want to be over here just, trying to kill these people. Ideally, D.Va would go and deal with it, because she's kind of the one on our team that's, it's more her job than anybody else's to break the teleporter. And we just want to kind of be over here trying to kill people who are on the point. Target prioritization thing here. I know we're trying to kill this D.Va because her mech is low HP, and she's got Discord Orb on her. Anna's more important. As soon as we see this Anna, we should just immediately change to the Anna, because she is more important to kill than D.Va. And we've got our Helix Rocket up right now. She's pretty easy to kill. Anna's an easy model to hit, and we've got Helix Rocket. She's right next to Reinhardt. She's the one we should change to as soon as we see her emerge, basically. And now we're just trying to shoot whoever we can. I can try not to stand perfectly still while you're shooting at these people. you're probably not going to get punished for it, but it's a bad habit. Try not to stand perfectly still when you're shooting at people. But we've won this point. Like, we got a couple of picks right at the start. This Symmetra is like, she's up to some stuff. She managed to block our Helix rocket, whatever. We caught the point anyway, so it's fine. And we still have 3 ultimates right now, and we're really close to having TAC Visor, so we basically have 4 ultimates right now. So things are going pretty well. Symmetra's teleporter probably used some of the charges, so she didn't get a full refund. We didn't quite get the Ana right there, but she still died to Pharah, so it's fine. And now we're going up onto the rooftops, which is exactly where we want to be. D.Va's looking at us, but, she's like a million miles away, so it's not the end of the world. Now, so, when you're up on high ground, you do, high ground is fantastic. High ground is the best ground to be standing on. As Master Obi-Wan Kenobi taught us, high ground is really fucking overpowered. But you do still have to be careful of things like Roadhog, because Roadhog is going to be trying to hook you off of the high ground in most cases. And it's like one of the most threatening things to you on the high ground. When you see a Roadhog look at you, like there, you just immediately walk back out of line of sight, because he's probably gonna try and hook you immediately. We walk back, and it just brushes right across our fringe, right? We look at him, oh god, I'm not quite sure how it didn't hit us, because it looked like it just smacked us right in the face, honestly. When you see a Roadhog look up at you, immediately move backwards, because he is probably going to try and hook you. Try to crouch as well, because if you break line of sight to him as well, the hook just comes off of you, so crouching sometimes makes a difference as well. But either way, he missed the hook, so it's fine, doesn't matter in the end. We do have to be careful, because we see him coming up on the balcony over there, over there. I don't keep pointing with my finger, I don't know why I'm doing that. So, we gotta keep an eye on that, but the rest of our team are gonna deal with that in the end, so it doesn't matter. We've got TAC Visor, and this is the best place to be to use TAC Visor. We don't really want to use it right now, though, because we can't really see that many people out of position. I'm not sure why we decided we're going to jump off the high ground to try and kill this Zarya, because we're standing in exactly the position we want to be standing on, which is up on the rooftop. Having control of the roofs during the street phase of Hollywood is really fucking important. They have to get you off the rooftops, or you are just going to kill them. They're some of the best high ground in the entire game. And we just give it up, because we're gonna, try and kill a Zarya, and then we're, walking into the Zarya the entire time. Try not to walk into the people that you're shooting at when you're playing Soldier. Soldier is a mid to long range fighter. He wants to be as far away from the person he's shooting at as possible. Moving closer to the person doesn't really gain you anything. I guess they're easier to hit, but the idea is you just get better at shooting them from further away. So try not to do that. That's also a bad habit, but we just don't really want to jump off the high ground. We're standing exactly where we want to be, and we just give it up. And it's very annoying. Then we get put to sleep, and that's just unfortunate. But the rooftops on Hollywood are annoying to get to. So if we get control of the roof, we don't really just want to give it up, So we're running away now, and we're we want to get back on the rooftop. Oh, the elevator's nowhere near, so we just give up and come back over here onto the balconies instead. We used TAC Visor right here. This is not a good time to use TAC Visor, because we're already winning this fight, basically. So let's go back. As you can see, as we're running away, 3 people just died, 2 of which were their supports. Again, I'm pointing with my hand. 3 people have died, 2 of which were their supports, and the other one was their, main DPS. So, we've basically already won this fight, assuming that the rest of our team isn't at, 1 HP or something weird, because when you lose both your supports, it's gonna be really hard for you to win. And there's just, we TAC Visor to kill 2 tanks, basically, and, the soldier actually got res, because we just killed him with a TAC Visor. They had still lost both their supports, though, which is the important part, basically. So we basically TAC Visor to kill somebody who was already dead, because we didn't even shoot him for that long, and tanks. We don't need to TAC Visor for that. We're already winning that fight. One of the easier ways to throw, it's more so, this is easier to throw on defense, doing this, but one of the easier ways to throw a game is you overcommit a bunch of ultimates that you didn't need to commit, and then you just get bowled over by the other team through sheer number of ultimates, right? Because we also used Earthshatter and Transcendence during that fight, so we used a lot of ultimates that we probably didn't need to use. And when you're attacking, it's kind of like, if you can get away with not using ultimates, that's great, because attackers usually have to use more ultimates to win a fight than defenders do, because of the way attacking and defending works. Because attackers, you need to kill all of the enemy team, because as long as one person is still alive, they can contest the point. Defenders, you only need to kill 1 or 2 people, and you kill their push, because it's too hard to attack at a numbers disadvantage, basically. So, attackers usually need to use a lot of ultimates. Defenders only need to use 1 or 2, usually, because they only need to kill 1 or 2 people, and they'll kill their push completely. So, if you can get away with not using ultimates on attack, you want to not use the ultimates, because then you can try and use those ultimates to snowball the victory further, like, snowball further down the point. Because, I mean, we've all seen, like, the 2 CP maps where you win the first fight handedly on attack, and then, like, you go up to the second point with, like, Barrage and Graviton, and you just wipe them immediately, and you win the game. So, like, we didn't need to use the Attack Visor, is the moral of the story, and that's why. So, we're fighting over here now. D.Va's using her ultimate, we're out of the way, we're, good uptime, we just barely out of the way of it, so we're still getting some damage into the point, like, into the doorway, while we're out of the way. Drilling into the Roadhog, like, we almost have another Attack Visor built up right now. Their team is fantastic to be playing Soldier against, because they have a D.Va and a Roadhog, both of which are the greatest ult batteries in the game, basically. So even though we used our Attack Visor, like, 15 seconds ago, we almost have another Attack Visor, so that's great. And they're just like, barrage is happening over there. They just kept coming out, kind of funneling through the doorway and just letting us kill them. We got to just sit up here having the time of our lives. No one really bothered trying to get us off of it, so everything felt pretty good. And we've almost got another Attack Visor built up. We are getting a bit overzealous right now, because we're running in way ahead of our team, and we should have died for it, like, right there. Like, we should have died. Like, when you're playing Soldier, you want to be as far away from the enemy team as possible. Don't, like, sprint in ahead of your team, basically, because you just want to sit, like, with the payload, slightly behind the payload, whatever, and just, like, let your tanks go forward and make space for you, and then you just try and do as much consistent DPS as possible. Try not to just, like, run off ahead of them, because you can get hooked and get killed for it. Like, he didn't kill us right there, but, I mean, when you get hooked, you should die, right? That's like Roadhog fucking up. We don't want to even give him the opportunity to hook us, which we do by running forward right there. We're getting overzealous at that point. So, they now have a Bastion. That's inconvenient. They also have a Tracer running around, which is also inconvenient. Soldier, not bad against either of these people, but not exactly great, so it's a little bit awkward for us. Fortunately, the Tracer, he's not very good, and we just get to kill her. We consider going up, through that doorway over there, and it doesn't really get you anywhere, so we're very close to the enemy team right now. We should not be this close to the enemy team. We should be further back, like at the top of the hill or something, shooting into these people. We get to punch the Orisa to death, but, we shouldn't really be that close up. We shouldn't be, right in the enemy team's face. We want to be as far away from the enemy team as possible. So we have caught this Mercy over here by herself, and, we get a little panicky about it, very fidgety, and, oh god, I gotta kill this Mercy, just, chill. Just chill. Like, the Mercy is a free kill, just chill. The way, whenever you see people in these, 1v1 situations, they, get really panicky about it, I find. Just, chill. You should win that fight, so just, chill. Don't be so, fidgety and panicky about it. Just be calm. So, this is a very odd time to use Attack Visor. It seems to me like the thought that was going through your mind was, I'm gonna get up onto the high ground, and I'm gonna Attack Visor up there, because that's a really good place to Attack Visor. Which, I mean, is part of the equation. Yes, you do want to be on high ground when you use Attack Visor as much as possible. But you also want people to be out of position when you use it, because they just disappear behind this doorway and we don't actually do anything with Attack Visor. We have to jump down to even shoot anybody, and we get hooked and just barely don't die for it again. When you're using Attack Visor, you do want to be on high ground if possible, because easier to use it on high ground. You got better lines of sight. It's harder for them to just disappear behind a shield and not be able to shoot them. It's harder for them to kill you if you're on high ground as opposed to low ground. But you do want people to already be out of position. Like, you're looking for one or two important people who are, like, away from cover, away from Reinhardt, whatever, and then you just, like, I'm gonna put the tac visor on and punish them for being out of position, basically. Because if they're just near corners or near Reinhardt, they can just disappear behind a shield, and then your tac visor doesn't do anything, right? So, it seems like the idea is just, I'm gonna get up there and use tac visor because that's good on high ground. That's only part of it. We didn't really look at what we were, like, where the enemy team was, and we ended up wasting that tac visor. So, either way though, everything's going fine. We didn't get punished for it. Don't get punished, don't have to learn. We don't, going up this way is very risky because you usually just want to be going with your team as much as possible. Like, I would just be over in the main channel still, like, slightly behind the point, just, like, putting damage into, like, the front line. Because Soldier is a frontline fighter. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean he should be on the front line, like most people interpret it, but it does mean he's trying to do as much damage to the front line as possible. Soldier's thing is that he is an incredibly consistent, moderate to high damage dealer. You are, like, if there's nothing better for you to be shooting at, like, if you can't be killing someone, you want to be putting damage into Reinhardt barriers, Orisa barriers, as much as possible, because breaking those barriers is part of Soldier's job. He's one of the better heroes at breaking barriers. You want to just be doing as much consistent DPS as possible. A lot of Soldier players, I find they don't really want to be shooting at barriers, which, I mean, yeah, you don't want to be shooting at a barrier if possible. So I find they spend a lot of time trying to do stuff like this where they try and get around people and, like, try to do, like, basically flanking on Soldier. It's not really his thing. What you usually want to just be doing is sitting as far back as possible, let your tanks make space for you, let flankers go in and get people low. You want to just be doing as much damage as possible. You're looking for maximum uptime. So, like, doing this kind of stuff is, like, usually unnecessary and it's pretty risky. Like, sometimes you can get a really good tac visor flank off, but, like, that's pretty rare. You usually just want to be sitting as far back as possible, doing as much consistent DPS as possible, because that's Soldier's thing. So their Soldier pops out right in front of us. Our biotic field isn't down, so, we don't get to just, like, kind of win the duel. We kind of have to fall back because he probably has his. But barrage has happened. Bunch of ultimates have happened. That's happening over there. We just killed the tank. Didn't really have to do anything because we just bowled over them through sheer number of ultimates. So, don't get punished, don't have to learn. Some people are like, you shouldn't watch a game where you win because it's harder to tell mistakes from it. That's true, yeah, because there's usually less mistakes in a game that you win, obviously. But, like, if you're looking, you can see for things that you should have been punished for that, like, you didn't get punished for. Which, we've seen a few of at this point. Like, there are things in this game we haven't been punished for that we could be punished for, or things that we could be doing that are still more efficient. So, like, slight tangent, just thought that crossed my mind right there. So, we're playing a Soldier. We were still, we don't really want to stand over on this balcony right at the start of the game. Also, like, let's look at our team again, because our team has actually shifted quite a bit between rounds. Push tab, come on. There we go. So, we don't have a Reinhardt anymore. We have Orisa and we have D.Va. We also now only have one healer, and we've got Symmetra and we've got Hanzo. Our team comp has gone from being perfectly average and fine to being pretty fucking terrible very quickly. Orisa is not an acceptable replacement for Reinhardt because she lacks the same presence that Reinhardt does. Because part of the thing is Reinhardt's shield, and Orisa has an okay shield, yeah. But Reinhardt has, like, an ultimate that's basically irreplaceable, and the only reliable way to stop Earth Shatter is another Reinhardt, which is what so much of the Reinhardt versus Reinhardt matchup revolves around, blocking Earth Shatter. So, that's, not having a Reinhardt, you're already sacrificing something. But, like, the other thing is, Reinhardt is very threatening in, like, his area. Orisa, as soon as you get on Orisa, like, she is very, very weak to dive. And our team, in general, is very, very weak to dive right now, because Hanzo is also weak to dive, Symmetra is also weak to dive, Soldier is not terrible, but not exactly good against dive, and D.Va is just kind of not a great hero, really. So, basically if they come at us with a dive comp, we're gonna have a lot of trouble fending it off, assuming they execute it correctly. Sometimes I think to myself, man, and this is coming from a Reinhardt main, man, if they never put Reinhardt in this game would probably be a lot healthier, honestly. Because so much of this game, so much of this game revolves around Reinhardt. Anyway, though, so now that we've had that tangent, we don't really want to stand on this balcony at the start of the round, because you can stand up on this balcony over here, and you'll probably be doing more at the start of the round. And, you can always just fall back to the other balcony if you're getting pressured up here. But we come over here in the end anyway, so it doesn't matter. Reinhardt's managed to miss his fucking fire strike by throwing it over our heads, so good job, Reinhardt. We've got an Orisa barrier up here for us to stand behind, so that's pretty cool. Reinhardt over there commits suicide. Winston now, I don't know why we jumped down right here, because we were standing in a perfectly fine position. I guess it's because we want to fall back over to this other balcony. It's more important you stay over there and just try to kill, more people before doing that, because you kind of jump down right into where the danger is probably going to be. I mean, again, we don't die for it, so whatever, but, you don't usually want to just jump down off of the high ground when there's still 5 people alive, because that's still pretty risky. Better to just stay up there and try and kill more people, then come over here, if that's what you're going to do. But anyway, so enemy team, they didn't get any good push going in right there. We're putting damage into the Reinhardt. Soldier's over there, so we kind of have to pay attention to that. We come down here to get the health kit. We don't really want to go over here. We don't want to go looking for him right now. We managed to get the drop on this Tracer. Textbook, she doesn't react in time. We don't really want to go looking for the Soldier. We should just sit up on the balcony and, go down and get the health kit if you want. Sure, that's fine. But we don't want to go looking for the Soldier, because really we should just sit up here and, keep an eye over here. Basically, we want to be, again, our thing is we're trying to do as much consistent DPS as possible. So, rather than going looking for the Soldier, we should just, sit up here and, keep an eye over here and just, be putting damage into their front line. And then as soon as we see Soldier come out, we turn and start pressuring him instead. We don't want to go looking for him, because that's we could spend a very long time not doing anything. It so happens that we come over here and we find Tracer and we manage to kill Tracer. Imagine if you didn't and you went down that alleyway to look for the Soldier and you're like, oh fuck, he's not here. That's nearly 10 seconds you would have spent not doing anything. So we end up finding the Tracer and there's something to do over there, but if she wasn't there, you don't want to go looking for her. You don't want to go looking for the Soldier. Better just be keeping an eye on that area and just trying to do damage to their front line as they're coming through the gate. So their Soldier's popped out over here again. We just shoot into him. That's fine. We've got, Biotic Field, so that's fine. We don't have to worry about too much. And we're just getting damage in where we can right now. We're trying to shoot this Soldier when he comes out. Again, try not to stand perfectly still on that point, especially not when you're fighting the other Soldier. We end up falling off of the balcony, which isn't great. We put the Biotic Field down here. We don't really need to. I think the idea here is that we're trying to use it so that Mercy has something to heal off of. Mercy's not in danger, so there's no need to use it. Part of playing Soldier is trying to support people with Biotic Field when you need to, but we didn't need to use it right there. Nobody else was being pressured, really. So, Hanzo's just managed to kill 2 of them right now, Lucio and Soldier. So, they're gonna have a pretty hard time pushing in right now. We're just putting damage into this Reinhardt right now. He's gonna have a pretty hard time getting out of this one. And it feels really bad, man. Winston's hopping around. We kill Winston. Things are going pretty well right now. We're not feeling too taxed right now. We're sitting back here on the balcony. We aren't really having to do too much. We're shooting people as they come through the gate. It's all fine. And everything we've talked about it so far has been, relatively minor, but it's the kind of thing that matters over the long run, right? We're playing Soldier right now. We're sitting back. We're doing damage. You do want to just, like, be spamming your rockets more, though, because, this is a thing with soldier players, I find, is they want to sit on their rockets, because they're like, I gotta use the rockets to kill people. Well, it's a pretty short cooldown, it's only 7 seconds, and it's not a utility ability, right? Like, you're not gonna need the rocket to survive in most cases. That's what Biotic Field is for more than anything else. Or you can just sprint away as well. Like, Helix Rocket is not really gonna help you survive situations. It's just a damage ability. It has no utility attached to it. So you just want to be using it as much as possible, basically. Like, you want to use your rockets as much as you possibly can. If you think you can hit somebody with the rockets, shoot the rockets at them. If you're shooting at a barrier, just shoot them into the barrier. It's only a damage ability, and again, Soldier's thing, what we're trying to do is as much consistent DPS as possible. So we want to use the rockets as much as possible as well. So, but anyway, so Winston's coming in right now. He's using Primal Rage. We're more interested in shooting the Reinhardt, which is like fair enough. We want to try and put pressure on him if we can, since he's easier to kill. Now we're focusing down the Pharah. We killed the Pharah. Great. We didn't even have to use Tac Visor. Now they're rezzing, so we decide we're going to use Tac Visor. That's fine. There were enough people that were like kind of out of position that we can expect to get some work done with it. Orissa's using the Bongo as well. You know, we wipe them. It wasn't really too taxing. We probably didn't need to use as many ultimates as we did, but I would have used Tac Visor in that position as well. And you can't really control your team, so, you know, whatever. So they've only got a minute left now. They're probably starting to get pretty tilted at this point. We're still playing Soldier. Again, you should be firing your rockets into that shield. 'Cause like, you know, it's, you know, just think about how much more, like, just think about how much more damage you could do. 'Cause like, you know, you sit on these abilities for a really long time, sometimes, and like, you know, you could just use it a bunch of times. I find a lot of the times the Soldier players, when they do use their rockets, they could have used it like 3 or 4 times in between then and still had it at that point. And then it's like, well, you could have done a lot more damage if you just used those rockets every time. It's the kind of thing that adds up over a long period of time, you know. So, yeah, we're playing Soldier right now. We got Winston coming up behind us. We put the Biotic Field down. Mercy's here with us, so it's not too scary. Adjusting our priorities because we're getting shot at by Pharah. You know, a lot of things are coming at us right now, but none of them are really doing a great job at killing us. We just sit in the Biotic Field. Mercy's there with us. We face him down. Everything went fine. Nothing really to be improved there. That was all perfectly fine. Hanzo's throwing his ultimate in. This is not exactly a great time to use it, but whatever. You know, you can't control your own team. As much as we wish we could, we can't control our team. So they're almost out of time right now. They have a Mei now. Boostio is trying to come in. It's just a very sudden, like, whip right back around right there. Amazing that the G-force on that turn didn't just kill him, but whatever. We've built Tac Visor up again. We're gonna use Tac Visor right now. Pretty minor thing. I would have waited until, like, Mei was a little bit closer to coming out of her Ice Cube, because she was, like, kind of the only one we were really looking like we were gonna get much value out of it on, since Winston was using Primal Rage. So I'd have waited a little bit longer to use it, but it's still fine that we used it there. And Lucio's come in, he's dropped the beat, but things are already going really badly for them at this point. We've basically won at this point, we just have to go through the ceremony of killing all of the people that are coming out to touch it. But unless they pull off some incredibly sick play, there's no way we lose this game, basically. And we don't lose this game, we win this game. Winston doesn't quite get back in time. So, all in all, it was a pretty good game, you know, we won it. We were never really feeling too scared that we wouldn't win it, you know, never felt too pressured at any point, really. And for the most part, we sat up on high ground a lot of the time. You know, we shot people, all good. So, let's watch the play of the game. It's Orisa. So this is gonna be pretty sick. Skype's just beeped. My phone's beeping also because Skype just beeped. God. She's sitting here with her we didn't even get to see all of it. Oh, tragedy. What a tragedy. Anyway, so I don't want to sit looking at all this nonsense. So, not too very much in this game that stood out. There's like a few bad habit things where like we're standing perfectly still when we're shooting people, we walk into people that we don't need to be shooting, don't need to be walking into. For the most part, we're doing everything fine. The thing that kind of stands out to me the most is basically ult execution. Because, I mean, you know, we talked about the one, like, right here where we're up in the high ground and then people just disappear. High ground's only part of it. We gotta wait for more people to be out of position. And we use it like when we don't need to, like we're overcommit the resources, like on the street phase on attack. We use it when we don't need to because we're already winning the fight, so we probably don't need to use it. And then like after that, you know, it's pretty much fine. We just use it as they're coming in, basically. But like ult execution kind of stands out to me. You know, you gotta kind of wait for like 1 or 2 people to be out of position before you use it, because if nobody's out of position, like they're just gonna disappear behind a barrier or a wall, and you're not gonna get to do anything with the attack visor, as we saw earlier. And you don't want to use it when you're already winning, because if you can win without using it, then you don't use it, right? Because that you don't need to, if you don't need to use it, you shouldn't use it. That's the thing that stands out to most. And then, you know, that's kind of really it. Like, you could spam your rockets more. Spam your rockets more. That's kind of important for Soldier, and a very common thing I see, Soldier players do. They just sit on their rocket cooldown for a very long period of time. You want to use it as frequently as possible. It's only a damage ability. It's got a pretty low cooldown. It's not the ability that's going to bail you out of a bad situation by sitting on it. If you think you can hit somebody with it, you throw it in. If there's nothing better to be shooting at and you're shooting in a barrier, just throw your rockets in there because you're trying to break the barrier as well. That kind of thing. There's not really too much. Like, I mean, this is, you know, the kind of thing with, games where you win is there are less mistakes to talk about, but, you know, we still saw some things. There were still things to talk about in this game. Don't give up the high ground if you're on the high ground as well. You know, we did that a couple of times. If you are on the high ground, that's exactly where you want to be. And basically the only reason you should... What the fuck are you doing, cat? Basically the only reason you should get off the high ground if you're on the high ground is because you're being heavily pressured by the enemy team and you have to get off the high ground or you're gonna die. Or it's something like you're in overtime and you have to touch the point or you're gonna lose the game. You know, that kind of thing. If you're on the high ground, usually that's just where you want to stay, because high ground, like Master Obi-Wan Kenobi taught us, high ground's really fucking overpowered. But yeah, so those are the main points. Thank you very much for watching if you did. If you have any questions, please feel free to ask. I'm more than happy to answer, and I hope you found the video helpful.